Seth, you were involved with the legendary five-star camp that Howard Garfinkel established. The stories that have come out of there are absolutely legendary. So too is the coaching tree that has blossomed from that camp and from him, Bobby Knight, Rick Pitino, John Calipari, Chuck Daly, Hubie Brown, Mike Fratello, so many more. Grant Hill once described his camp as a mythical place you can actually go to. There was something I'll ask you about called Station 13 with Rick Pitino that Howard Garfinkel once said it was a crime for people not to go to Station 13 and participate with Rick Pitino. What was that camp like? What was it like to see a young Rick Pitino in his element at this camp where so many people to this day still talk about the masterclass that he would put on from his speech in 1997 that you could watch on YouTube to the drills and his player development in that camp?
Yeah, I mean, Section 13 was individual development. It was player development. It's no different than an old Rick Pitino's. Because I mean, it's the same thing. It's basically teaching guys to develop their individual skills and understand concepts. So, Rick Pitino, I call him a savant. I mean, he's a master teacher, a master coach. He's a demanding coach, but he's also a guy that if you buy in, and it's hard to buy in, that you will get better. Watching Rick, all of us, we all grew up in five-star. Rick, Coach Brown was the first one, but Rick was the first one of our group. Now Rick's a little bit older than me. He's my brother's age. We grew up at Prospect Park, playing in the same parks, and he's St. Dominic's, we're Plainview. Five-star obviously brought us all together. Five-star was the bridge that was built for all of us to cross to chase our dreams. Now, our generation of coaches, that was before grassroots basketball. Five-star was a place you cut your teeth. If you could get a station when you were still, a freshman, sophomore in college, that meant Gar felt you were prepared to go and teach and impact young players. You would sit and listen to lectures and take notes. You would sit and watch Station 13. You would sit in the back when everyone went to dinner when it was up in Hornsdale, and you'd hear all these great coaches, and you'd sit on the outside of those picnic tables at the fireside and just listen and try to pick up a piece and develop relationships. So five-star was a magical place for players. You think about the great players. I coached Pat Ewing at five-star. Mm-hmm. I mean, you think about, I sat with Michael Jordan before he was MJ, mm-hmm. when no one even knew who he was. And Dave Odom said, there's a guy at camp. He's unbelievable. And no one knew who he was because everyone thought Jumpin' Joe Ward was the best high school player in the country that year. And Michael Jordan literally took his heart out. But it was Mark Aguirre, it was Isaiah Thomas, it was Pat Ewing, it was Michael Corrin, it was, all the great players. It was Eddie Pickney, it was John Sally. I mean, you named a great player, they were at five-star. But for coaches, what it was a masterclass for young players that wanted to coach. It was a masterclass of watching the great teachers teach, listening and hearing and seeing what they were doing and why they were doing it, how they were doing it. And that, and Rick of our generation was the first one because, Rick's older than me. I'm 67 years old. But, we always thought that Rick was going to end up coaching St. John's or Syracuse. Now a little thing happened called the New York Knicks and obviously then Kentucky, and it kind of derailed maybe that a little bit. But, watching him do Station 13, he never cheated any camper. I mean, and no different than today. I've been to 3 practices this year, and he challenged those players to match his intensity, his attention to detail. He's still there every morning in individual workouts. He still has that energy, that passion, that commitment to do something special. And he probably feels a little bit of pressure. He's come home. Obviously Iona wasn't the final destination. He spent 2 years in purgatory overseas, and now he gets a chance to come back as a square guard.